Hello, everybody. I am Katie, and today I'll be talking about behavior as communication. So, when we think about behavior, there's kind of a couple of different ways to think about it. One is a more behaviorist model, which looks at behavior as positive or negative and either reinforces the behaviors that we want or avoids or ignores or tries to extinguish the behaviors that we do not want. And then in our model, the developmental model, we look at why the behavior may be occurring and what that can tell us about the child's individual profile and their individual differences, and what that behavior may be trying to communicate with us, or what information that behavior can provide for us to help guide their treatment plan or guide their time at the clinic or at home or at school. So there's a lot that can be missed when it comes to avoiding or ignoring behavior because that may be the only tool that the child has to communicate what they want or need or maybe needing or wanting more of outside of the moment. So there's a lot of societal judgments, if you will, on what types of behaviors we do want and what types of behaviors we do not want, quote. So, for example, a child hitting or a child kicking or biting or yelling is typically frowned upon in our society as not being okay, or maybe they can do a little bit of it, but once they do it for a long time or in certain situations, it's not okay anymore. So, there's a lot of fear and a lot of emotion that's triggered by these behaviors. So, we first kind of have to think about that in ourselves, and we'll do another video on that topic. But in the meantime, what we're thinking about when it comes to behavior is what this may indicate for that child in the moment. So, are there sensory signals that we can read into that are happening? So, for example, the child kicking or a child hitting, are they seeking a certain type of input that's helpful for their body and their regulation? Or it's not emotional at all. So, is it a body reaction that they're having in the moment where they're using their body as a physical outlet and that is an indicator that they need more of that physical input in other areas in their day, or that they're feeling emotionally insecure in that moment in a way that they have difficulty adapting and processing in a way that is meaningful and they can act on their environment as a result? So, two kind of columns or categories that we'll look at when it comes to behavior is sensory and emotional. So, sensory behaviors may be some of that input seeking, kicking, biting is a big one. So, oral seeking, wanting some input to the jaw, moving around. So, there's a societal preference on sitting still or being quiet. So, for a child that's moving around the room, and if that's a sensory signal that they're trying to advocate for their sensory needs, and we're extinguishing it without some support or guidance and figuring out other adaptive tools to get that input, then we're doing a disservice to that child in meeting their developmental needs at that time. So, another area is emotional. So, when we look at behavioral communication in an emotional context, we might be looking at a child that's saying, I hate you, or I never want to see you again. And we look at that as insight to their emotional experience or what's going on in their body and their emotions. So, indicating to us that they're really not feeling good in the moment, and their words are not something that we take literally. We're thinking a little bit more deeply about what that might mean and the context for the child and what happened before, during, and after in a way that can give us meaningful insight to promote and enhance their development in other ways. So, this is a really quick, brief intro to behavior as communication, and we'll be going through an iceberg to find out what might be under the behavior. So, when we see a child's behavior, it's kind of the tip of the iceberg, and there's so many other things that we want to look at that or with the interaction, or with the activity, or with their experience as a result. So, stay tuned, and we'll be going through lots more information on this topic for you.